Hey everyone, welcome back to Painted. It is a beautiful sunny Saturday right before Mother's Day, and we are still constantly creating here. I hope that you all are staying well, staying sane, having some good times with your family and doing all that fun stuff that we're all learning to do. I've done a few Zoom happy hours myself and some family events, and it's been really nice. It's been a great way to connect with my family and friends who I don't see very often, so we've learned a lot with this already. And I'm even getting more techie as things go along. I thought I was good, and I'm getting better. Still haven't figured out how to do the Zoom room thing, though, even though everybody else has to send me the links and I go into them. All right, so today's fun is phone cases. Now, you have seen me do these at the end of another video when I was doing cups or doing something else, and I did this with the leftover product. But so everybody asked me how I do them, and I thought I'd share an entire video. Hey Maddie, nice to see you here. So I figured I'd shoot an entire video discussing cases, which ones to use, how to do this, all of all of that. Now, I always said that the harder the case, the better. Hey Julia, nice to see you. So this case is flexible, and while it hasn't been a problem on the back with this delaminating, this is where it's been a trouble, on the edge. Because this edge is flexible, it's created issues where the epoxy has wanted to peel off. So the best cases to use for this are the rigid ones, preferably rigid ones where it has a separate bumper from the actual back case so that you put the bumper around the edge of your phone and then clip a hard case over it. Those are the best ones. Those are the ones I've had the best results. Now, I have a couple here that are rigid cases. I'm holding them like this because there's adhesive and stuff on them. That are rigid cases, but they have soft sides, so I might have peeling along here. And then I have two of the absolute worst choice I could ever possibly make. Why? Because I didn't realize they were a bad choice at the moment I bought them, and then they got stuck in a drawer because once I looked at them, I knew they were a problem. I have these. You can't tell because I've primed them and put Varnish Plus on them. I mean, not Varnish Plus. What the hell did I put on here? Oh, foil adhesive. These are silicone coated, and I just dropped it on the floor, and it peeled right off. So when I put foil on this, I may take the whole coating off, and that's okay because this is a learning experience, and I want to explain why some choices are good and why some choices are better, and sometimes the best way for anybody to understand that is to see an absolute failure happen. So I've set myself up for success on a couple, I've set myself up for failure on a couple others. We're going to do them all. So I'm going to flip the camera down right into where I'm sitting here in front of me. This was my old case. I need a new one because you can see it's starting to peel and chip. I can come here and I've actually taken like crazy glue and stuck this back down, but it's because there's probably some silicone in here to keep these things stain free, and then it's chipping up because I beat the crap out of phone cases. So no exaggeration. We're going to have good, we're going to have bad. So first we're going to start out with the questionable. This is another one of these cases. This was silicone inside the back. This brand is Heyday. There is nothing wrong with this case other than it's probably going to not really want to be foiled because this had a soft touch silicone casing on it. And we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to take, which one do I want? Do I want this tie-dye or do I want the blue-green tie-dye? They're both gorgeous on here. I think I'll do the blue-green. Why? Because I'm kind of obsessed with this one right now. And let's roll this back. I'm going to take my knife. I am obviously not doing careful cutting today. And just so you know, if you get a piece of foil from us, if you're buying it by the foot and you get a piece of foil, the end cut is like rough like this, not even. Move this out. You see it's all jagged. we cut your foot from the shortest point, like right here, and then you get a couple extra inches. We don't short you on your foil and cut from the widest point. We come back here, so you usually get a little extra from us. I don't want anybody to ever think that because they got an odd length, an odd edge on something, that I'm shorting you. I'm actually trying to give you a little extra. All right, so I'm gonna lay this over, and this could be I move it to the center of the screen. This is gonna be great, or it's gonna be disaster, and I don't know which. We'll find out what peels off, whether it's gonna be the foil or whether it's gonna be the paint. So I'm just rubbing here. Say a little prayer that it's the foil that comes off and not the paint. Not bad, but I have a lot of spots that I missed because I didn't really scrub. But you can see I got a good release on it. Like I said, I got some spots here that I need to, because I didn't know what was going to happen. So each time I lay this on, it's a new test. Let's grab a scrubbing brush, a little toothbrush here, and see if I can get more pattern stuck in there. And I'm going to turn it over too and try to get these edges here. Okay, the paint is allowing me to release the foil on it, but watch, if you look up here, you can see I'm pulling it away. So this is why knowing what you're putting your surface on your surface is important. Am I gonna worry that that happened on this one? No, because this one we know is kind of a test. It's a crapshoot one here. But I can get a lot of foil on here. Let's see if I can get in. Ooh, I missed some spots with my adhesive. I was very sloppy. Probably because I was afraid to brush too much or I'd peel the paint back. But see, you can see I got a nice pattern on here. Look how pretty that is. Hey, Olivia, nice to see you. So, but again, not a great choice because I already know this is peeling up. Now, I will do this whole case. I will do the entire plan that I had for it. That just doesn't mean it's going to be a great usable case for me, but it'll be a great design project for you all. Now, this gray one, you can see it's already starting to peel here. It's already starting to peel. This is another one that was a silicone case, and you can see it was purple when I started. So I've painted this, but we're gonna have a little fun on this. We're gonna make it, let's see, what should we do with this one? I have my holographic stars, and then I have my stars zigzag. I'm thinking, let's do the holographic stars on this one, and then we'll turn this into a red, white, and blue geode kind of pattern maybe on here. All right, take this off. Wrap the foil back up so I don't have it go unrolling across the table on me, and yes, I have had that happen. Okay, let's lay this down. And again, we're gonna hope that when I pull these up, I'm saving the stencils for the other ones because I know that surface will be able to handle it. And mind you folks, I didn't just put set coat on this, I prime etched it, which is Faux Effects High Bonding Water-Based Primer designed to bond to hard to bond surfaces. So if the prime etch isn't grabbing this, not a darn thing will. And I did sand it even. I lightly scuffed the surface, everything, just to see how much this would peel away with every proper prep step done. And that's what we're getting, folks. You just don't know. trying not to peel back paint because it is wanting to peel on the edges. All right, let me get my scrubber here. Try a more aggressive scrubbing and see what happens. Now, I was really sloppy with my foil adhesive this morning, so there's going to be a lot of, yeah, see, again, these silicone cases, you can see it's pulling the paint right on the edges. So I want you all to see that so that you know. Now let's see what happens when I pull back, because I might take all the paint off. Watch. And just what I was afraid of. This case is a great case, as long as you don't want stains on it and you don't want anything to stick to it, because I literally just peeled the entire finish right off. That's why your case makes a difference. Great experiment, good learning moment. This one I could probably do the same with, but I got most of it to stick, so I'm just going to do it as another demo. So that one had a great idea, but it didn't work. These are harder. These are hard plastic, but they have rubber bumper sides. But they don't seem to be silicone sides, so things should grab better. Again, did a very questionable job of applying my foil adhesive. And even this one is a hardback. This is the case that it was originally. There was glitter in here, and I scuffed the bejesus out of it. So to prep these for their layers, so I'll give you step by step what was done. They were sanded. They were cleaned. Then we put a layer of Faux Effects Prime Etch on it. This product is designed to bond to hard-to-bond surfaces like Formica, plastic, glass, tile. So that's what we put on there. Then I put a layer of set coat over it. This one has metallic navy. This one has set coat black. The other one that peeled off was gravel gray. Then we applied a layer of Artsyville foil adhesive. This has all been set to cure now. So those are the steps, step by step. They will be typed up and put in the post after I've done this. And this, like I said, silicone. Pay attention. If you're going to do this with a case, make sure you know what your case is made out of. Silicone will not work for you. I just proved that. Really, really pure. Look, I can just keep peeling and have a perfectly good brand new case. So there we go. That one is foiled. This one we're going to, let's see, what shall we do? These will hold up better, so I should be able to put a stencil over it. Should being the famous last words, because sometimes I get fooled by what's on my cases, and I think I'm fine, and then it turns out I'm wrong. So let's put down, I'm picking a stencil, and I'm picking it really slowly because I just don't seem to be able to do it any other way. So let's do an Americana kind of style on here with tiger stripes. That would be kind of fun. And I'll put the seam for the veins. You know, a tiger's got a spine, and this is where the spine would be. So we're going to put that down. Let's do that one with, let's see, let's go back to some holographic stars. I really liked that one, except there's another combination I really liked. I did it on a couple things. So we're going to use the glitter stars on here. Okay. Take that out. Take a look at that. Here's our brand new Glitter Stars foil, and then I got to work it into the stencil. And I'm doing this with my fingers first, just so I can feel out the pattern, so I know where I need to scrub with my brush a little bit. I know I can feel it under there. Oh, that's just a lump. Lump of stuff on the stencil that I thought was an opening. So make sure we get all the way up to the top. And yeah, it took that nicely. I just got to get into these little details right in here. And I do a lot of this with my fingernails. But if you don't have a fingernail that you can do that with, just use a skewer or a toothpick or something along those lines. And I like to go in here with that, with something like that, just because otherwise scrubbing it with the brush doesn't get all the way to the edges of the design. So you can lose a lot of it, and then it becomes much smaller instead of coming out all the way, having all the nice details. So I want to make sure I come in with fingernails so I can feel into the design. I gotta maul my design. Appropriate word for tigers. It's sad to see that the other half of the tiger duo, Siegfried and Roy, passed away the other day. That was too bad. All right, get in there like that. So I've got that half of that laid out, and I'm going slowly with this because I want to make sure that my adhesive doesn't pull back anything. So you can see I've got that really cute tiger pattern on there. Let me zoom in just a little so you can see what I'm doing a little better. So I've got that tiger pattern. Now I have to just kind of match up my stencil to get it to the next layer. So let's see. And this always takes me a minute to figure out where I'm matching up. But I'm usually pretty on top of that. That's not going to work. That's... Did I flip my... Let's make sure I got the design on here right so I know exactly where I'm coming in from. And then I have to figure out where this piece is over here. Give me a chance to look at it right side up. That piece is there, so like I said, I just needed to find my spots. You got to find your marks sometimes, and I just did that the hardest way I could possibly do it, by screwing it up again. Let's come up here. It's sort of, sometimes you just got to kind of feel your way into this. I'm going to pull it a little closer and face it to me so I can actually see this, and I got to push that one back. And truly, I do this constantly. Every time I'm dealing with a stencil that I haven't used before or I haven't used in a while, you kind of have to feel your way through and find the repeat, because this needs to go right in here somewhere. And I just got to make sure. There we go. I knew I'd find it. There we are. It's found. But it always takes a minute, the first repeat, to get it straight. So I'm going to get that in there. Alrighty. Harder to move the repeat around on a small surface because you don't have as many places to match up. So now I have to come up in here and match my pattern again. There we are. That's the match. Laid down in straight. There we go. I love how this is coming out already. I'm very pleased. Go in again with my fingers. Do, 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 do. Whole pattern in. Just want to get in there. And And I pull my foil back, and then if I need to refill, I can, or reposition, or if I've missed a spot, I just relay the foil down over the surface. All right, so there we got our cute tiger pattern on here, which is already adorable as it is. But now I use these exact things, these exact patterns on a cross cutout that I liked it so much. I used the flower power stencil, but I liked the way this came out so much I wanted to do it again so it could be for my phone case. Move that out of the way. Take a little piece here. Okay, this is our blue tie-dye foil. This one, blue-green tie-dye. This one, blue tie-dye. And this blue tie-dye has just little bits of goldish yellow and silver in it, where the blue-green tie-dye has obviously got blue and green, and then there's some yellow in it. So it's a totally different color read once it's done. I'm just trying to find my foils to put tapes and stuff away. All right, I like that. I'm very pleased with that. And then I'm going to take my scrubber to make sure I hit all the edges. And we're going to peel that back. Now that's killer. That's just awesome. Oh, I like that. And I like that as it is. I don't have to do anything else except pour the epoxy on it to make it more durable. And then we're going to work on this one. So this one, I want to go back to my idea of Americana because, but I'm going to do my geode idea, but I think I might actually use my holographic zigzag on here because I really like it. So I'm going to take my little holographic zigzag and I'm going to do that. Okay, it's laid over the surface. I'm rubbing it around the edges. And I'm going 100% coverage with this. Why? Because we're going to do some other red, white, and blue stuff on here. Where did my brush go? Right here. And again, on its own, this is going to make a great looking case. Look how cool that is. Just like that as the case. That's really great. Now I'm going to go catch my bottom edges here because I can feel that I didn't get all the way around. So are you all doing a lot of online shopping? A lot of my favorite retailers now are doing like online shopping shows, sort of like a QVC kind of setup where they bring their wares out and then you can order them either online or over the phone while they're doing their shows. That's been fun. Okay, so I kind of work to get down to all my little inner edges here. Okay, now this is the thing you're going to have to be aware of when doing this. These edges are flexible to have your phone slide in and out of the case. So when you're done, you're going to be aware that this is the area on your phone that is going to be the absolute easiest place for this to fail. Like I said, I have done all kinds of stuff. I just happen to have a little blob of adhesive in here that I want to take out because I really slapped on the adhesive this morning to get it ready for you guys. All right, wipe my fingers off over here. So now we have 3 phone cases to create. This one I could leave as it is. This one I'm going to create a geode. This one I'm going to create another geode. So let me push this back into the frame so you can see what I'm talking about. I keep forgetting I have it zoomed in, so I put it where I can see them easily, not where you can, and that's not very nice. So the next step to creating a geode is adhesive and some more glitter. And hang on just a second, let me go grab a couple glitter colors. I should have had them all out, but I didn't. Okay, blue. Gotta make sure I got all the colors I need. And I carry quite a few glitters too, so you're going to see all kinds of stuff that shows up in live for me. Some products I carry, some I don't, but all the ones I carry, I will obviously clearly list for you all. And I need a paintbrush, which I put way out of my reach. Okay, so the next thing, for this one, if I needed to do anything, and I'm going to do it here. I'll move these out. Let me pull this back in. See if I can get this. Oh, that's zooming in even closer. Well, that'll help. All right. So this one, you can see the pattern is all in there. You can see those holographic glitter stars in there. They're cute. And that blue pattern. But I still have little sticky spots on here because, of course, the foil always has breaks in it. And you can have spots that you skipped, or that it just the adhesion level is a little lower. So I'm going to take a little glitter, and this is an old Martha Stewart color that is so old it doesn't even have the name on it. Lapis. And I'm using that because it is the right color with this. Sprinkle it along the sides. And you can see I'm taking my hand and rubbing it, and what I'm doing by rubbing it is sticking it in all of the places where there's no foil, but there is adhesive that's still sticky. And I just rub the edges into the pile I make here in front of me. Try to keep the glitter mess down to a minimum. And really, most of the time, that's about all it needs, because you can see I'm not picking up that much. I just wanted to get it on the edges. Now, there's another challenge with any and almost all phone cases now, especially if they're not separate phone and bumper. You have these little spots on the sides for the buttons right in here and right in here. So you can pour the epoxy over it and they work okay. I never did anything on the edges of this one. However, if you find it problematic, you can take an X-Acto knife before you go in. And this one's gonna have goo all over the tip, which is gonna make it a little challenging. You can take your knife and basically cut that button out. Or at least you can perforate it a little bit. But I usually try to cut them out because they don't work very well when they're covered in epoxy. So I'm going to take that. You can cut this out before you start, or you can cut this out at the very end. But that's the little button. And I just pop it out. And then I'm going to go to the other side and pop these out. They're not hard to do, they're not hard to get out. Obviously, they just take a second to do it. Some of these are easier to pop than others. I tried to pop one of the ones on the silicone one, and it just basically kind of ripped apart the silicone stuff I was working on. So again, those silicone ones, they're going to challenge you. They're not the best choice. I can pull that little piece of goop that's got stuck. So now I have my cases. And when you can, after you've put the epoxy on this, you're going to want to go in and kind of clean them out. So I'm going to do that with both of these. because otherwise you won't be able to easily access your phone buttons. Come on, go on, out you go. Oh, for heaven's sakes, I cut through all of it. No, it doesn't want to pop out. The first one had to come out really easy to make me look bad on the second one. Just not. Oh, I almost stabbed my finger there. There's one. It wants to stick to my finger because it has adhesive on it. Come on, out you go. Okay, I've cut through the whole thing. It's just sticking on out of sheer stubbornness now, I swear. There's the other one out. Okay, so again, no, it's not quite out. There, it just shot out at my arm. There's a little piece of it still stuck in here. Oh, I see what the problem is. I gotta get at it. Sure, do a live. It all goes perfect, they said. Nope. You nearly stab yourself. Nothing wants to work, right? Come on. And just so you all know, I'd still be talking to this if you all weren't here, if I weren't live. I'd talk to my... Does anybody else talk to their projects all the time? I talk to it like, you know, like I'm almost like I'm asking it on a date, convincing it to work for me, work with me, do what I need to do. Maybe not, I don't know. Date, job interview, whatever you want to call it. Okay, it's almost out there. Turn it over. Catch it on the back side. There we go. Okay, so those have all had their sides removed. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a paintbrush. Start with this one. So I'm going to take a paintbrush into my thinned down Artsyville foil adhesive, and I'm going to get rid of the little pieces of plastic crap everywhere. And I'm going to create just a random sort of fissure shape, which will imitate a geode. So you see how I've done that on this one. Back so you can see. So I'm creating a similar shape here. Only instead of having the wide part up at the eye where the lens is, this time I'm going in a different direction. All right, get that up there. And we're going to do the same thing on this one. Zoom back out a little bit. Make it a little easier for everybody to see, including me. And then I will sprinkle a mess like I just did all over the place. Well, that just set me up my geode line. Geodes, for those who are not familiar with them, are crystalline developing, sorry, I'm losing my words because I'm painting. They are crystalline growths created by pressure and heat, often inside a ball. You often see amethysts. That's how amethysts are created naturally. So you might see chunks of geode and stuff, and everybody, I'm sure, has been seeing all the beautiful things like slices of geode wedding cakes and stuff, and the sliced geode coasters. Well, this is how you kind of artificially create one. So now I've put foil adhesive on both of those. I'm going to set that to the side, and we're going to play. So I'll set that away for one because it'll make a heck of a mess. We're going to start with this one first. And I'm going to use a little bit of our Peridot, this is actually called Limeade, not Peridot, glitter. Now, if I was taking my time on this, which I'm not because I'm doing it live, I would have let the foil adhesive dry. Why? Because it would make it much easier to sprinkle on the glitter and then pat it down. I'm going wet on wet here for the live, just so you can see the process. I'm telling you right now, it's way easier if you let the foil adhesive dry instead of sticking your fingers into wet adhesive like I am. Because once this is done, the adhesive still has to cure up enough for us to pour the epoxy on. And the reason I'm patting the glitter in is I want a dense glitter on here. I don't want just a light coating because I'm creating an entire pattern out of it. All right, so I've got my basic geode shape there. And then, hang on a second, let me grab a little narrower brush. There we go. I take a smaller brush into my foil adhesive. And again, this is just foil adhesive that my can is older, so it's gotten thick. So it's just a slightly thinned down version of the same adhesive that I always use. I just thin it down and keep it in a separate jar. You don't want to thin it down in the can. That can cause contamination and spoilage. And I'm just taking my brush and going along here, outlining the shape I already created, creating it a little more jagged and irregular, because that's what looks better. I'm not even worrying about that big blob that I put in there, because I can manipulate it around. Why am I not worried? Because it's got glitter in it? No, because we've already got glitter on stuff. It's gonna just put more glitter. It's not gonna hurt anything. And then when I completely dried that out, I'll just sprinkle some more glitter on it. See? Just like that. That dribble's now gone. Here. Oh, this is going to be very pretty. Okay, so now you can see I have created a jagged edge on either side, so I need to pick another color and glitter. And if I really want to make it pop, I'm going to pick a contrasting color. So I happen to think this is a very Halloween-y kind of combination, but I kind of really love it too. So I'm going to just take a little bit here. I don't like the way that's going to pour out. I want to open. I want to take it and control it a little more. So I'm going to pour some into the cap. And it's a beautiful deep purple. And in the long run, if I get a little of this purple into that limeade green, it won't matter. This takes time though. You can see it's not a fast process. And you know, there's lots of ways to do this. I've seen people take straws and do stuff like that. When I have an irregular line like this, I find that just using my fingers tends to be the more accurate, unless I had like a little cocktail straw, which I don't keep in the studio. Although the way things are going, I might start drinking while I'm here. this lockdown stuff. We have been, my husband and I binge watch late at night because we like to fall asleep watching TV. So we have been binging lately Homeland, which I love. And don't anybody tell me what the final season 8 finale is. We haven't gotten there. I put off watching it so that I could see the finale with my husband, who's never seen any of the series. So I think we're like watching season 3 right now, maybe. This is a good day to do. I was planning to do this live yesterday. I had it all set up, and then the backhoes and the drills the jackhammers started. They're doing street construction while the businesses are on close down, which is a super smart idea, except that they were doing it right in front of my window. So I tried everything to see if I could get the sound to be muted. Nope. Quite frankly, I blasted some Guns N' Roses to see what would happen, and that didn't work. Okay, so you can see now I've got some veining around this. Let me hold it up a little closer. That's how I get that edge. And then I like to come in with a slightly wider line. And this can be built up as much or as narrow as you like. Usually on phones cases, I try not to get it too crazy built up because they can take over. And also, the more you build it up, the more texture you're going to create under your epoxy. So this one, for example, this one, I use some very coarse texture glitters and stuff, which is great. It gave me a little bit of a grip surface, but it also created some interesting moments trying to figure out what I was doing. Like it didn't want to grab into my phone holder on my car because it had that kind of little bit of grippy texture that it wouldn't lay in it right. Okay, so now I've got that third line here. Put that back in the adhesive. Let me go reach over to my piles. I have so many weird things over here. I just don't even know what I got. You know what? I like this blue. I think maybe that's not the blue I wanted. I have a deeper blue. I always have little random jars of stuff. I mean, over the years, I have collected so many. This is a nice dark blue, so I like that. These outer edges are a little harder to just come and stick your finger in and pat them down because you've got wet next to wet, unless you do it the way I would do it if I wasn't doing it for a live, which is paint a layer, let the adhesive dry, put on the glitter, and then create the next ring, and then let that dry, glitter it, and then do the next one. It works best if you can let the adhesive dry in between. You can see I'm sticking it all over my fingers too, so. Okay. I think what I'm going to try to do is just catch those edges there with that glitter. So you can see now I've got my rings of geode. I can create another fine line of color out here, or I can let this dry. I think I'm going to stop and let this dry. I need the foil adhesive to be completely dry before I pour the epoxy on it in a few minutes. So I'm going to stick this back in the hot box, and we'll talk about detailing in a minute. Okay, that one is cooling off, and for the person who's asking what a hot box is, it's a drying space that we have here in the studio that was built so that when I'm doing things like lives like I am right now, and I need things to dry faster than they will if I let them dry on their own, that way I can continue the live instead of there we go. I had a little spot that somehow I missed, or I must have dribbled something on it or something. So I totally lost track of what I was saying. The hot box helps things dry. And I probably just put some foil over where I wanted glitter, but that's not gonna matter. All right, so this one we're doing very summery, very red, white, and blue, very Americana for the upcoming holidays for the summer. And this one's probably pretty well dried. You can see I can't even see on here where the adhesive is. So I'm just sprinkling my glitter. Now, if I had a bunch of these to do like this, I'd probably put glitter in a Ziploc baggie and shake these things shake and bake style. I've done it before and it works really well. So, first, whoops. We've got our center of our geode, which is a red glitter. And then we're going to take, okay, let's do a little stripiness here so we can get on our next layer of color for the geode look. Now, if you find that after you've put this on and you don't have enough glitter, paint a little more glitter. I mean, paint a little more adhesive, stick on a little more glitter. It'll work just fine. So obviously I dribbled a big glob in there, so I'm just kind of moving it around to make it more on key with what the rest of this is going to look like. You know, we've got Memorial Day, we've got 4th of July, we've got Labor Day, we've got a whole summer coming up with lots of wonderful holidays. I hope that hopefully by July we will be able to share them with our friends, but if not, we'll find other ways to celebrate. I hope everybody is doing their darndest to stay well and stay sane and stay happy. Okay, so now I've created that edge, and I'm coming back with my dark blue glitter because I really like this glitter color for red, you know, for Americana kind of stuff. It's deep, rich blue. And again, sprinkling this on with my fingers. Oh, that's coming out really cute. Cute is this? And once again, if I am not answering your questions as you type them, It's because I'm looking at the piece and not your questions. So I will come back and look at them. I'm like a little kid with the glitter, sticking my fingers in glitter and glue. This is stuff that always got me in trouble as a kid, and now I get to do it professionally as an adult. You know, truly, everything I ever needed to know I learned in kindergarten. Everybody remember the name of that book? Okay, so now I've gotten that glittered up, and we have, again, one more layer to create. One more ring, I should say, to create. But I have to step aside for a second because the stuff that I needed to do it is still sitting on my shelf. I thought I grabbed it and I didn't. Hang on a sec. Come on, where is it? Everything goes missing. There we go. Sorry about that. I thought I brought what I needed down to the table with me and was the one thing I left on the shelf. Like every live, you think you're completely prepared. Oh, I forgot a little spot right there that needs a little blue. Somebody would have called me on that later saying, you missed it. But I don't have to since I caught it. Now, I have wonderful glitters here. You can use them absolutely. I just happened to be very color specific today and needed to use stuff that basically fell out of my craft closet. So, but we have these wonderful foils, wonderful foil adhesive. So truly indulge and enjoy. So now I'm adding this last outer ring. I could go into all the geological structuring of how geodes are formed, blah, 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 but I think sometimes for a live, especially when I'm just trying to create something, I'm telling you a lot more of how the watch was made and a lot less of what time it was than you really want to know. Okay, so there we go. And for this last one, yeah, we're going to use tinsel glitter. Why? Because it reminds me of firecrackers and the 4th of July and all that fun stuff. So I'm just going to sprinkle it on. This will be the one glitter that does not sit flat down to the surface. Some of it may even stick up like little hairs, so, and I've had to trim those off after I poured epoxy before the second coat, if I needed a second coat. Oh yeah, I like this. I love this tinsel glitter. It's like so much fun. It's just like a celebration on its own. Okay, let's pat it down. Knock all the extra off, and look how cute and fun and sparkly that is. Oh my gosh. Now that one's going back in the hot box too, and I'll be right back. Okay, so let me clear a little space here, and we're going to pour the epoxy for these. Those will go back, and those two that are back in the hot box. By the time I finish pouring the epoxy for this one, we will be ready to pour it on the other two. We just have to get all that adhesive dried a little bit and move all the jars out of the way, because anybody who's ever watched a live from me before knows I spill things everywhere. So we're going to take this, clean up my mess right in front of me. And I'm not being fancy with it. I'm just simply folding it in half because this is parchment paper and we can pour epoxy on it. All right, so I need a jar that I can put my phone case on. Why? Because it has to have a surface to drip. And we're going to use our new wonderful liquid glass 2-part high gloss epoxy. It's low odor, easy to work with. This is a great epoxy that if you need to cast something, meaning pouring it into a mold, this epoxy works great. As you all know, I carry 2 epoxies. I carry art resin and I carry this one. Since we're working on a rigid surface, this is the one I would choose. If I was working on something that need a little more give, I could use the art resin. I love them both. They both are great products. Choose different ones for different projects according to their need. So now I'm going to take this out, and as you can see, epoxy comes in 2 parts. It comes with a hardener and it comes with a resin. This product, like my art resin, is a 1-to-1 mix. Now, one of the things that I love the best about this is on the side of the box, it gives you how many square feet this container will cover. So this is a 32-ounce half-pint kit, quart kit, will cover approximately 8 square feet. Now, I will tell you right now, I've gotten it to cover further. It depends on how thick you pour it. It depends on a lot of things. Epoxy, when it cures, wants to settle down. As long as there's an open edge, it will level to 1/8 of an inch thick. It only builds up thicker if you have a lip around it, or if you're pouring more than once. So this one, we're only pouring once. Okay. Get my cups. Woo. Almost threw it on the floor. I've got stir sticks galore over here. And of course, gloves. And let me zoom back out again a little further so we can see the whole process, because when I'm too zoomed in, you can't see squat. All right. I angle this back a little bit. I just want a better angle so I can actually see what's going on. I try to look up at the camera once in a while. Last week I did a live where most of the live was somewhere between my neck and my belly button because I kept forgetting to move the camera. All right, so here we go. We got 2 cups. I'll move this out of the way for a moment. This is the hardener. Now, I don't need a lot of epoxy. This is not a big surface I'm pouring. I probably need a little more because I got 3 of them to pour. So when you're pouring this, remember, you're only pouring out half of the amount that you're going to need. So if you think you need like this much, then only pour half of that. You must pour an even 2-part mixture. Okay. If you can't do like I'm doing right now and pour an even level pour, use measuring cups. I think all my years of bartending made it so that I can consistently pour like that. Do not mix up the caps. Make sure the right cap goes on the right bottle. So as soon as you poured for one bottle, put its cap back on. As soon as you poured from the other one, put the cap back on. What happens? You can actually create a mess inside the bottle, and then you can epoxy your lids of your bottles permanently shut. And I do mean permanently because it's not like other stuff where you can warm it or whack it on the table. And I've done it. Okay, and you want to scrape every last bit you can get out of the cup. Because you want this to be even amounts. 2 cups together like that. That's what I do because it helps alleviate mess on the table. And stir. And stir aggressively. Scrape the bottoms, scrape the sides. I think the containers, the box says stir consistently for 2 minutes. That's to make sure you absolutely stir it, and get it mixed completely through. Really what it boils down to is for as long as you think you need to stir it more. Because if this is not completely mixed, you will not have it harden correctly. You will have soft spots and brittle spots if it's not mixed correctly. And I explain this every time. If you get too much hardener in your mixture, it will dry faster, hard faster, and become very, very, very brittle. It would be, if you put too much resin in here and not enough hardener, the mixture never hardens. It's soft and sticky and tacky forever. Oh, Leslie, thank you. Oh, you'd be wearing all the glue and glitter. I buy clothes that I expect to get covered. So even when I like stuff, I fully expect that I'm going to ruin them. And I often do. But this has got sleeves that flip back. So the velvet is machine washable. And I put on aprons and gloves. I don't tend to splatter over my head, but it wouldn't be the first time. Hang on a second, folks. I got to get one more tool. I almost forgot the most fun part, the blowtorch. I left it sitting over on the counter. You can use a smaller brulee torch too if it makes you happier with, especially on smaller projects. So I'm going to just take that and pour it on there. Now, I can smear this with my fingers. I can smear it with a key card. I can use a sponge brush. Just be aware, whatever you use, it's not like you can just wash it off. Shoot. Hang on a second. Whatever you use, you can't just wash it off in the sink. So you need some sort of tool to spread this around. Now, obviously, this is something I've used many times, so I don't have a really nice clean edge on it anymore. If that was important, I just take my X-Acto knife, clean it down, smooth it off, and I'm going to take it and use this to spread the epoxy over the surface. If you use a regular paintbrush with this, be prepared to throw that paintbrush out. You'll never get it clean to use for anything else. All right. And you take your fingers and smooth it around. That's why you wear gloves. Make sure you get around these openings too, so that everything is all sealed up, all the bottom edges. You can pour heavy with your epoxy, which is what I did on this one. So I got these sort of textury edges. Or you can pour a little thinner and pour a couple layers, which is what I've done on this one, and you're gonna find less dribble. So now that I've poured the epoxy on there, I can then take my torch, move things out of the way before I set them on fire. Now Leslie's got me worried about my sleeves. All right, so I'm going to take this. And if you notice, the torch is on the side. It's not down in here, because I do this, I can burn into my finish. If I do this, what that does is it liquefies the epoxy even more. It gets much more liquid, allows it to run and level, and it also pops all the air bubbles that are in the epoxy from the stirring, so you don't have a foamy, lumpy, messy bit of stuff. Now, I'll sit here over the course of the next few hours. Would a heat gun work? Yes, it would, but it is not. as controllable, believe it or not, as this. You have to turn the heat gun completely sideways. You cannot point it at all down into your surface. It will cause all the paint and the foil to bubble up, and you have to move it quickly, just like I did the torch. From what I have been told, and I played with it both ways, heat gun works, but the flame from the blowtorch and the carbon monoxide that it creates actually helps bring the bubbles up better. So there's the answer, and it was a long one. It's probably a little more convoluted than you wanted to know, but there it is. Let me go get the other two phone cases. Okie dokie, so I have these back, and I'm gonna put them on a couple jars. And we're gonna epoxy both of those, and then we're gonna talk about the secondary veining. Okay. Now, make sure you pay attention. This jar is too big. I need something a little smaller, so I'm just gonna take a plastic cup and turn it upside down and put it on there. You need these to be fairly level, so they won't stay drying on this paper, which has it not sitting quite level, because otherwise all the epoxy will tilt off to one side. That's what epoxy does. Okay, there's a little bit there. And let's pour some on this one. Move everything around a little bit. Sorry, gotta trying to keep it all in frame for you to see, and also in a workable range for me. Now, like I said, I mixed more epoxy than I needed. I knew that might happen. And then I'm just gonna take it and manipulate it around. Now, I was so generous on this one. I'm gonna have to be catching the spills off the sides for a while today, I can tell already. I think my hope was on that when I was pouring enough, I might actually see if any of it stuck to the silicone, which probably it won't, because I use silicone paper underneath my pores when I do bigger pours, and all the epoxy peels off in sheets off of the silicone. But this is a pretty one to look at, so I'll just enjoy making it instead. It may not suit its purpose, but it'll suit mine for today. Maybe I'll just take a little of that epoxy and pour it over my old case too, and see if I can get it to stay a little longer. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna be so pretty. They're all gonna be just sharp looking. Get all my edges here. All right, so I got that. I'm going to take my blowtorch again. Okay, those little flames that you saw popping up, that's actually the tinsel. It's the tinsel that's not deep into the epoxy. It will flame a little. It doesn't hurt anything. It just wants to go and then goes away. And if what you may not see from here, but I can see, is the epoxy then becomes very liquid and wants to rain almost on the surface below it. All right, there's this one. Again, what's very hard to catch here is the little sizzle that happens. Ooh, torching that made that one want to sit crooked. I'm gonna have to figure out how to deal with that. Move that to the back. Little heat make this one want to warp a little. Maybe I'll just set it down. It's Heck, it's the one with the silicone on it. I can't make it any worse than it's going to end up anyway. I'll just set it on the table. Maybe it'll dry a little more level that way. All right, I'm going to pull this up here. Now we're going to talk about my phone case. So you saw me do all those glitter layers, which is what I did on here. But what you didn't see is that after this layer of epoxy dried, I lightly scuffed my case and hand painted veining in. So you can see the white and the pinks in the veins. And that's really what pops the final detail on this. So then I'm going to show you how you handle the second coat. Because this one's going to, I'm going to see if I can salvage this case to last me a little longer. So when you have, after your first coat dries and hardens, you come back and you scuff it lightly with a little, this is 220 grit sandpaper, just to give the surface a little tooth. Now, normally you don't wipe it on your pants like I just did. You wipe it with Swiffer or something else that's going to remove the dust, but you know, my pants were right there. And then you pour the epoxy back over it. You can paint, once that's sanded, you can do a little painting with acrylic paint, no problem. You paint the veins on, and then once the veins are dry, you come back and you pour more epoxy on it, like this. Same way you did before. I'm just moving my epoxy over. Let's see if I can salvage this phone case at all, because it's really pretty and I really like it, and I was kind of bummed that it was starting to delaminate. See if I can get another couple months out of it. And trust me, I'm really hard on phone cases, which is probably why I own so many, because I drop my phone constantly. I am like a huge butterfingers. I don't know, and it's getting worse as I'm getting older. So I just have to deal with making everything, all my expensive electronics, as padded as possible. All right, so I got that done. I'm gonna pop this off my hand so that I can torch it. And there you go. And then in the next 8 to 10 hours, this will become perfectly hard. All of them will be. In 4 hours time, you should stop seeing dripping. So for the next couple of hours while I'm here in the studio, I will be going by these with a gloved hand, wiping the dribbles off the bottom, making sure this one that's in this mess pile over here, I'm probably gonna have to just take an X-Acto knife and cut the mess out of it, because it really, again, we're dealing with silicone. Silicone doesn't like what I've just done to it. So I'm moving it out of one pile of silicone mess, or one pile of epoxy mess, and seeing how it all dries. Thank you, everybody. This is fun. Enjoy. So let's pull the cases into a place where you can see them. There is the blue one with the tiger. This is our red, white, and blue Americana one. This is the one that you just saw on my phone. And then this one over here is the silicone nightmare. So let me flip this up and try to keep my elbows out of the epoxy. Okay. So thank you all for staying with me for this one. Again, like I said, I usually do these phone cases as add-ons to something else that I'm pouring, and then I get so many questions about them. So I truly say that anybody can do these. You can make your phone cases. You don't have to go out and buy a new phone case. If you got a cruddy phone case, as long as it's not a silicone one at home, do this with it. What's it gonna hurt? If you've already decided it's just too beat up to use again, it's not pretty anymore, make it pretty. Do something fun with it. Leslie, Googling blow torches. Yes, I bought mine at Home Depot. I know you're in the UK, so you can't get them there, but you should be able to get a propane torch at a hardware store, because that's what this is. It is Benzomatic is the brand for the United States. The tanks, you get the top, the tanks are refillable or replaceable, definitely. It's the most fun to have a blowtorch around. It's all the toys that I wasn't allowed to have as a kid. I wonder why. Anyway, Sprinkle the love, share, share, share. Have some great day. I know I'm not supposed to say that second S word. That gets me in trouble with Facebook. Meanwhile, keep it going. Everybody have a great day. I'm sorry, my hair's falling in my face today. It's that kind of day. Have a wonderful Saturday, everyone. Thanks for being with me. Bye-bye.